applying for a job has changed dramatically from when you were 22, 30, 20, 30 years ago to now. So the things you're helping with is a resume and helping them realize themselves. Maybe it's a resume for their own purposes and not necessarily even just for the next job. What other things are you helping people with in terms of not just the resume, but what things can someone do right now that can get them more prepared as they're thinking of that next job?
So you mentioned earlier on that I state my company helps people verbally, virtually, and in writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just explained the verbal part. Talking with people, getting them to articulate what they do and what they love to do. One thing, we don't know what the marketplace is going to look like even by the summer, let alone fourth quarter.
Right.
But what we do know is something is not going to go away, and that is LinkedIn. So Microsoft bought LinkedIn 3 years ago for $26 billion. So they're not going to throw that money away. They want to make LinkedIn even more robust than it is now. And I teach people how to create a profile that will come up in searches. And, I spent 2 hours with a woman this morning, and she couldn't believe it, how much she could find out in LinkedIn. She's a candidate for a position. And I said, well, you graduated from BC, Boston College. Let's find out if there are any BC grads in that company. Let's find out if there are any BC grads. She's in Maine. I work almost exclusively, I'm a Maine-centric company. Mm-hmm. So I work exclusively with people in Maine. So let's find out who's doing this work in Maine. And that became a network for her to talk with people. And hopefully someone, at least a BC grad perhaps, will put in a good word for her. Because what everyone has to do, whether they're 21 or 61, they need to find a side door when they apply for a job. So most people think, oh, I'll apply for this job. I'll go on Indeed.com. Mm-hmm. I like Indeed. Okay, it's fine. It's not the end game.
Right.
A person needs to then, okay, they throw their hat in the ring. By the way, 2% of people who do that find that their resume actually is read by a person. 2%. Wow. So that's in part because of applicant tracking systems. And most people are not aware of what they need to do in their resume in order to get through the tracking system. And so if their resume does get through, that's not enough.
Can you just describe real quick, Barbara, in terms of what is an applicant tracking system?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I didn't know what that was. Yeah. So that's important.
ATS, Applicant Tracking System, is a software program that usually HR, they purchase it and they plug it into their positions and they put in certain keywords. Let's say, there's a safety engineer position. Well, they'll probably put in safety engineer. They'll probably put in other terms that apply to that position and its responsibilities. And they've put in the algorithm which says the candidate needs to put in safety engineer on their cover letter and resume at least 4 times. Otherwise, it doesn't make it in. We don't know what that algorithm is, but we do know that there's a job description, a posting, and you darn well better have some of those terms on your resume.
Yeah.
And you never know if the company has an applicant tracking system operating or not, but you want to operate as though it does. So that's one thing that's very new. New for people who haven't looked for a job in 25 years, for sure.
Right.
And so they need to be aware of that and know how to get by the applicant tracking system.
And you mentioned a side door too, right? Is also, as we are kind of growing in our careers, there's people we've worked with, we have friends, we have connections, and sometimes we just lose contact with them, right? And I think we're kind of as we get older, we get a little more set with kind of this is how I do things, whether it be I used to call people and maybe I've just lost contact with them. So social media to a lot of people is a very bad thing, right? Is, oh, they're just trying to get my information. And so, LinkedIn, which I think everyone's heard a lot, maybe more about Facebook, but LinkedIn, a lot of people go, well, that's not for me. So
they do equate it to Facebook.
Yeah.
And it's not. You have more control over your information than you do in Facebook. And it's a professional networking site. That's what it is.
Right.
And so I think that anyone who cares about their professional brand needs to be on LinkedIn.
And you've kind of, and I'll steal this from you, Barbara, is you've said 98% of people looking for talent go to LinkedIn.
Yes.
Right. So if you are not on LinkedIn and I'm looking for that job and a particular opportunity. So one is what you just mentioned is now I get to know and I can do some intelligence on the company that I'm thinking about that matches what I want to be and where I want to go, and figure out what's the best way to get an entree to that organization. Maybe not necessarily for a position that's open, maybe just an introduction anyway. But if they're looking for talent and I'm not on that platform and I have to go to Indeed and 2% of resumes are getting read and I spent all this time on a resume, I could see where people get defeated very easily that, geez, I can never find the job I want and there's nothing out there. And I am stuck because I'm in a prison. So they just don't know their paradigm, it feels like.